Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon News Update for April 25th, 2025. First off today, we're going to go to the Dallas News, where it says, The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints moved a step closer to building a temple in the town of Fairview Thursday when the town's Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously approved, but with significant conditions, the church's bid to expand its presence in North Texas. The matter now goes before the town council Tuesday, which could finally end a year-long dispute with the Utah-based church over the temple's design that Fairview leaders said would be out of place in the town of nearly 11,000 people 30 miles north of Dallas. The proposal presented to commissioners Thursday night scaled back an earlier version that mired the town and the church in a debate over religious freedom and the community's right to preserve its small-town character. The controversy was partly fueled by a disagreement over the height of the temple's spire, initially proposed as a 174-foot structure, but since shortened to 120 feet. I don't know about you, but I'm actually hoping they come to a consensus. I would love to stop having to report about Fairview, Texas, and the church that's trying to bully them. The article goes on to say, despite design concessions by the church, the commission nevertheless sought more changes, including further reductions in height with a spire no taller than 68 feet and 3 inches. The commission also asked the church to rename it the Fairview Texas Temple, not the McKinney Texas Temple as now proposed. The town council doesn't have to accept those conditions when they vote on the proposal next Tuesday. As mayor, I know our community appreciates the time and expertise our P&Z board members have shown dealing with the difficult circumstances that have been forced upon our town, Mayor Henry Lessner wrote in a statement. Council members will heavily consider recommendations made by the Planning and Zoning Commission, Mayor Pro Tem John Hubbard wrote in a text to the Dallas Morning News. The adjustments in size and height were made in good faith to address local concerns and demonstrate our desire to be respectful neighbors. Church spokesperson Melissa McNeely said in a statement, I don't think after a year of this, the church can claim to be a good neighbor. We are grateful for the legal protections that ensure the free exercise of religion and look forward to being part of this growing community. The new design, whose application forestalled a threatened lawsuit, is a building of about 30,700 square feet with a 33-foot tall roof. The plans include a tower base coming up to about 44 feet and a spire reaching 120 feet. A line had formed outside the hearing chambers Thursday afternoon, with some people waiting as many as 5 hours in the rain to secure a seat inside, all 50 of which were filled by the start of the meeting. Supporters wore blue and opponents wore green. Hundreds more watched the meeting online. Regardless of how the Planning and Zoning Commission votes on what would become the McKinney Texas Temple, the town council will have its say when it convenes on Tuesday. And as far as I know, that meeting will be live streamed by Bill Reel, Radio Free Mormon, and Rebecca Biblioteca. Speaking of temples, let's look at a post from an LDS near-death experience discussion group on Facebook. It says, in 2002 to 2004, my husband and I were temple missionaries in the Washington, D.C. temple. During the week, there were very few people attending. We held many sessions with just the witness couple drawn from other temple workers. We discussed it and wondered out loud to each other if that was a waste of time. Yes, it's a huge waste of time. Then one day during one of these empty room sessions, while standing in the front of the room, my husband said the back wall vanished, and as far as he could see were spirits attending that session. It was made known to him they were learning and being taught beyond the veil. From then on, the empty sessions were no longer empty in our eyes. So if you're wondering how some active church members explain away empty temples, here's one answer. Speaking of empty temples, let's watch a few clips from a recent Mormon Stories episode 2006, entitled Why Mormon Women Are Leaving the Church. Jana Reese came on the show with some statistics and graphs about LDS retention rates. Here is the first clip.
Just to give a big picture, it's not just women who are leaving religion and in general, and Mormonism in particular. This is looking at retention rates that the Pew Religious Landscape Studies have shown over time. So 2007, Mormons had a 70% retention rate. Essentially, that means that if you grew up in the faith, are you still a member member? Do you still use that as your self-identification on a survey? Doesn't necessarily mean that you're active, but that you claim the identity. And so in 2014, when Pew repeated the study, that was 64%. And then the most recent one that was just released this year is our retention rate is 54%.
Only 54% of Mormons brought up in the religion still claim that identity. Whew! I think we can all rest assured that the 17.5 million members the church claims is wildly inflated. And the next clip.
49% of your respondents are absolutely certain that the LDS Church is the only true faith leading to exaltation. 51% are absolutely certain that LDS sealing ordinances are ultimately the only way for families to be eternal. 56% are absolutely certain that God is an exalted person of flesh and bone. 57% are absolutely certain that Joseph Smith was a prophet. 54% are absolutely certain that the Book of Mormon is a literal historical account.
So half of the people raised in Mormonism don't identify as members anymore, and this second chart shows us that among those who still attend regularly, only half really believe the church's truth claims. Wow. While I don't think the Mormon Church will ever disappear completely, I do hope that these statistics cause them to make changes for the better for those who are still in. Now we're going to go to ksltv.com, where it says, a Utah psychologist and author of a book on adult material addiction is facing criminal charges accusing him of convincing child clients to remove clothes during sessions so he could secretly record them. Robert Virgil Dindinger, 54, of Spanish Fork, was charged on Thursday in 4th District Court with 10 counts of exploitation, a second-degree felony, and 2 counts of voyeurism, a Class A misdemeanor. Dindinger is the owner of Utah Valley Psychology in Orem. According to his online bio, he works with people with disputes to create solutions, specializes in mental health and children, and wrote a book about recovery from adult material addiction. Floodlit.org has additional information. Their website says, according to his LinkedIn profile, Dindinger received a PhD in clinical psychology from Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. BYU is owned and operated by the LDS Church. Dindinger also reported on LinkedIn that he worked as a clinical therapist in BYU's counseling center for 4 months in 2010, a clinical therapist at BYU from 2008 to 2011, a student therapist in the BYU Comprehensive Clinic from 2008 to 2011, and an adjunct faculty member at BYU from 2017 to 2019. Dindinger went on a mission for the Mormon Church in Scotland from 1995 to 1997. I see the work I do as a sacred duty, Dindinger wrote in a bio at Psychology Today. Next up is the Salt Lake Tribune, where it says, Utah's flagship school is now offering academic credit for something that many young Utahns in particularly already do, serve a religious mission. In a surprising announcement Wednesday, the University of Utah announced its new plans to expand what is called prior learning credit, so students will be able to get class credit for both religious work or humanitarian service, such as through the Peace Corps or AmeriCorps. It is a major step for the U, which sits just east of the Salt Lake Temple for the state's predominant religion, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and has sometimes been seen as being at odds with the faith. But even the church's sponsored school, Brigham Young University, doesn't appear to offer the same kind of service credit coming online at the U. Clark G. Gilbert, the commissioner overseeing church education, including BYU, said in a statement that those who serve Latter-day Saint missions learn essential skills to have in college, and he supports those students getting credit based on their service at the U. The idea comes under the leadership of University of Utah President Taylor Randall, who is also a Latter-day Saint. Which makes me wonder why people were so surprised that he announced this. The U's new initiative goes beyond what any school in the state seems to have offered before, and it will apply to all students who complete any missionary or humanitarian work, not just those who did so in a foreign language. The U is still working out some of the specifics. At this point, though, it says students will be able to earn up to 12 credit hours under the plan. Students' experience from their service work will be judged on a case-by-case basis. They will need to compile a portfolio that includes an essay about what they learned and then pay $50 for a U committee to review that. So I recently spoke about the temple that Russell Nelson announced for China that has since never been spoken of in any official church channels, and my stellar viewers reminded me that the China temple is not the only one that falls in this category. Let's watch a quick clip from the April 2018 conference for more info.
At this time, we have 159 functioning temples, and more are under construction. We want to bring temples closer to the expanding membership of the church. So we are now pleased to announce plans to construct 7 more temples. Those temples will be located in the following locations: Salta, Argentina; Bengaluru, India; Managua, Nicaragua; Cagayan de Oro, Philippines; Layton, Utah; Richmond, Virginia; and a major city yet to be determined in Russia.
Heard any updates about the Russia temple? Me neither. Let's go to Church of Jesus Christ Temples to see what it says there. Announcement, April 1st, 2018. Construction status. The Russia temple is currently in the planning stages. No groundbreaking date has been announced. Temple rendering. Renderings of the Russia temple and site plan have not yet been publicly released. Temple site. No city has been officially announced for the location of the Russia temple. However, there are currently only 3 cities in the country where stakes have been organized: Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Saratov. Temple announcement. President Russell M. Nelson made the historic announcement of Russia's first temple at the end of his closing remarks at the 188th Annual General Conference. No city was named as part of the announcement, only that it would be constructed in a major city yet to be determined. While serving as an apostle, President Nelson himself organized the first stake in Russia in the capital city of Moscow on June 5, 2011, in the 20th anniversary year of the church being officially recognized by the Russian government. There are over 23,000 members of the church in Russia, organized into 3 stakes and 10 districts. Temple facts. The Russia temple will be the 15th temple built in Europe and the first built in Russia. When the Russia temple was announced, no city was named as part of the announcement, as it had not yet been determined. It has now been 7 full years since that announcement and no movement. Interesting. The work does not seem to be hastening in Russia. Now let's go to the ex-Mormon subreddit for this post that says, I was kicked out of BYU, Idaho. I was essayed back in 2019. During the assault, I had unknowingly broken the honor code by being at his apartment without his roommates being home. Truly, I just assumed they were in their rooms doing homework or something. After the assault happened, it took me a week to tell anybody. When I finally told one of my friends, he dragged me to the Title IX office. I had to sit there and tell them exactly what happened. He proceeded to tell me that going to the police was pointless, but looking back, I really wish I had. I thought the Title IX office was confidential, but I was wrong. My bishop called me the very same day to meet with him. I thought maybe he was going to extend a loving arm, but instead, he made me go through the repentance process. Had to meet with the Area 70 to discuss how I can repent and move on. No sacrament, no temple recommend, and a disciplinary council because I was endowed. Then he called my parents to tell them everything without my permission. About 2 weeks later, I drank alcohol to numb myself a little before I made an S attempt. I had taken several bottles of pills. My friend found me when she was dropping off some homemade muffins for me. Fast forward to after I got home from the hospital. My bishop informs my parents and I that he would be withdrawing my ecclesiastical endorsement because I drank alcohol. I'm glad I ended up going home because it was for the best. But because I drank alcohol, after everything that he put me through after I was assaulted, here's the kicker. The guy that assaulted me got to stay. His bishop gave him a slap on the wrist. I've been healing over the last couple years, but I'm still very hurt. I went to both Ricks College and BYU, Idaho, and that person's story does not surprise me at all. And last up today, let's finish with this insight from Danielle is Tired. She says, another church post, I've found that almost every catching up convo I've had with 40-something female friends, especially moms of teens, over the past year, inevitably ends up at, I'm having a faith crisis. Are you? You are? I'm not alone. Whew. The moms are over it, y'all. Big time. And that's your update for today, folks. I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.